What exactly ended at NXT Takeover The End? Well, we're going to talk about it on my review coming up right here on WGS-TV. Hey YouTube, are you ready for your hot tag? Because if you are, it's definitely time to work.
Times NWA World Heavyweight Champion Scrapper Adam Pierce, and you're watching WGS-TV.
Worked way back into another episode of WGS-TV right here on youtube.com/WrestleGamer. I am your friendly neighborhood WrestleGamer, and what we're going to be doing on this video, guys and gals, we're going to be taking a look back at NXT Takeover The End, or as they had it on there, the full title, The End of the Beginning, which kind of, well, basically, the way they would kind of put it would be the end of one era of NXT and the introduction of another era of NXT. And one thing I was hoping for would be the end of the era of Tom Phillips and the beginning of an era of a much better commentator. Now, who? I don't know. Bring back Rich Brennan, please. But anyway, guys and gals, before we get ahead of ourselves and start ranting about stuff, let's go ahead and get this review started. Now, in the opening match of NXT Takeover The End, we would have the debut, and I'm hoping I'm going to pronounce his name right. I hope I did it on Sports Entertainment Tonight. I'll say a little bit about that in just a minute, or at the end of the video. It's Andrade, Cien, Almas taking on the Perfect 10, Dillinger, and it kind of went the way I expected it to go, but it's just really surprising to me just how over Dillinger is with his Perfect 10 gimmick. You know, even though he hasn't really racked up a chunk of wins on NXT, but I think probably in the wrestling industry what counts more is the probative entertainment value and how over you are with the crowd. And Dillinger is over with that NXT crowd, with that Perfect 10 gimmick. He really is. It's really something. Now, can he transition that into the main roster success? It's not really always the case. I mean, take a look at Tyler Breeze and what happened with him. Adam Rose was mildly successful in NXT, even though I never really followed him. And of course, a best example I can think of is how over the Ascension was in NXT, and what a dominant dark tag team they were in NXT, and what happened to them when they transitioned into the main roster. They were made to look like a big giant joke. But enough of that. Now, when it comes to Andrade, Cien, Almas, I was quite impressed with what he did in the ring. And of course, he's got some really noted titles in his past with the IWGP Intercontinental Championship, the same title that Shinsuke Nakamura really put on the map in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And this guy is no slouch. No slouch whatsoever. I've been told that Cien, it means 100, which I guess is 10 times better than the Perfect 10. But it was still a really good match. It was much better than what I anticipated it to be. I even said it on Sports Entertainment Tonight, and even Mark Trahan said it, that, you never really see a guy making his debut lose his debut match. And Andre Cien Almas was making his debut, and of course, with Wrestling Logic 101, he was going to go over, and he did exactly that. Almas hit the running double knee strike on Dillinger to pick up the win. Now, the NXT Tag Team Championship was on the line. The American Alpha and the Revival, two of my favorite tag teams in NXT. It was everything I thought it was. It was everything that it was in Dallas, only that much better. One spot to really take notice about, is the bellied. How in the world did they do this? It was Chad Gable up on, I'm trying to remember because this was last night, but he was up on someone's shoulders, either Dawson or Dash, and then it looked like it was going to be another double team move from the Revival, and somehow they kind of maneuvered it into basically Chad Gable throwing him into a suplex while he was on the shoulders of someone else, which was really, really well done. But they would make some history here with Revival hitting the Shatter Machine on Jason Jordan, and the Revival becomes the first ever two-time NXT Tag Team Champion. And there was something that irked me after the match was over. Now, it wasn't the fact that there were two giant men that entered the ring, who will probably the new prospects of NXT. I haven't yet to find out what their names are. I'm pretty sure somebody on the dirt sheets but I haven't really looked at the dirt sheets today. And it wasn't the fact that happened and that they attacked the American Alpha. It was the fact that Paul Ellering. Now, if you're a true wrestling fan, you know the name of Paul Ellering. You know who he is. You know what he looks like. Paul Ellering, the longtime manager of the Legion of Doom. At one point, he was manager of the Disciples of Apocalypse. Yes, he was. Look it up. I know my intel. You know, he was always carrying around a suitcase called Mr.com. Then sometimes he would have a ventriloquist dummy. And for fans in Full Sail University to look Paul Ellering right in the eye and chant, "Who are you?" kind of tells me a little bit about the fan base of Full Sail University. They don't know shit. I'm telling you. You know, it may insult some people, it may hurt their feelings, but I'm just calling it like I see it. You don't know who Paul Ellering is, then you deserve to be insulted. That's all I'm going to say. And now that basically what we're going to see now is Paul Ellering more involved in NXT in an on-television capacity as a manager of these two men. I'm really looking forward to what they do. I'm really looking forward to it. Paul Ellering has always done things incredibly well, which is why he's in the Hall of Fame. And again, like I said, I'm just a little bit irked that the Full Sail University crowd had no idea who Paul Ellering was. The chant wasn't directed towards the two men. They were directed towards Paul Ellering. How aggravating is that? You know, again, what does that say about the Full Sail University fan base? Not much. Not much. Now, Shinsuke and Nakamura taking on Austin Aries, hashtag Nakamura versus Aries. And this had the makings of being an exciting match of the year candidate. Was this better than Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn from NXT Takeover Dallas WrestleMania weekend? No. Now, it's not saying that it was. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm not saying it was bad, but if I had to pick a Shinsuke Nakamura match for a match of the year candidate, I'm going to go straight to Sami Zayn. I'm going to go straight to Sami Zayn. But Austin Aries is a close second. It's a very close second. They did a lot of insane spots. I love Nakamura's entrance. You know, it was so charismatic and it was so basically it fits the gimmick of him. And that's one of the reasons why Shinsuke Nakamura is such a hot commodity in the wrestling industry. He's a natural for what he does. Not just with not with the strong style stuff that he does in this ring, but he's so charismatic and he's so entertaining with the way that he does it. That's why our people are drawn to him. So I just figured I wanted to clarify that because I had a Facebook friend, Blake Dozer, post a question on his page earlier today, asking, you know, why people like Shinsuke Nakamura. That's just my take on it. That he's a natural. He's gifted. He's very charismatic, and he's got a great in-ring ability. So does Austin Aries, for that matter. But Aries apparently was more over as a heel on this crowd than he was as a face, especially when it made his debut. But it was still an amazing match to say the least. It was Nakamura hitting the Kinshasa, or the Bombaye, for those of you who have followed his New Japan Pro Wrestling career, on Austin Aries to pick up the win. Now, one match I've always been looking forward to, ever since both women made their debut, and I even said it on Sports Entertainment Tonight, Tuesday. I've always wanted to see the collision between Asuka and Nia Jax, because it's basically the equivalent of the immovable force meets the irresistible object. Asuka with her quick striking ability and her intimidation factor against Nia Jax and her size and her power. I wanted to see how they would work. Now, predominantly 9% of the match, Nia Jax dominated when it came down to Asuka and her lethal kicks to the head of Nia Jax, which got the win. And I wonder, how many of you guys out there caught the fact that Nia Jax was being looked over by the medical staff after that match was over? Apparently, probably one of Asuka's kicks was a little bit stiff. But I'm still glad that they kept the title on Asuka. Just a matter of personal preference. She is indeed... Let me just say this. I do have a little bit of a... I'm a little embarrassed to say it, but I do have a little bit of a crush on Asuka. I mean, come on. She's hot as hell. She's hot as hell, and she knows how to kick ass. She's amazing. She has a beautiful smile. I mean, come on. I mean, look, this is hot right here. She's hot. So I'm just gonna set that aside for no other reason than just to set it aside. But one thing I definitely want to discuss before I move on to the main event was a friend of mine, the hardcore host of Hardcore Wrestling Radio, Rick Head. We were conversing through Facebook last night when it pertains to NXT Takeover The End, and he said he did not like the way that they worked the match with Asuka and Nia Jax. He said Nia Jax dominated 90% of the match. Nia Jax should have been the one to go over. And he's a little bit of upset because it kind of makes Asuka look bad that, she got dominated 90% of the match, and then just a few kicks later, she wins the match. Now, and one thing I responded with was, this is something that we've seen countless times in WWE, and not just in WWE, in professional wrestling, in the professional wrestling industry, where one person takes 90% of the heat in the match, and then he comes back to actually win. Kind of the old underdog story. Rick had kind of referred to it as an Undertaker win. I would not. I would disagree with that. Just because he dominated 90% of the match, doesn't mean that you're the person that's going to go over. It builds on the match drama. It puts the champion at a disadvantage. That they have to climb that hill. You have to, overcome the adversity, and that's what Asuka did. She overcame the adversity. And I throw this out to you, Rick, because I'm pretty sure you're going to be watching my video and listening to what I have to say. When Bayley beat Nia Jax at NXT Takeover London, when Nia Jax pretty much 80%, I want to say 85% of that match, Nia Jax won. And Bayley won with the rear naked choke, making Nia Jax tap out. Would you basically classify that win exactly as what they did with Asuka and Nia Jax for NXT Takeover The End? I'm just throwing that question out there. I want to know what you have to say. Now, the first ever steel cage match for the NXT Championship, Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. I gotta say, for what it was a fantastic match. But one of the things that was lurking in the back of my mind was the fact that there were so many rumors going out there about the fact that Finn Balor was going to get bumped up to the main roster. They're going to keep the title on Samoa Joe. So I kind of went against the grain. I kind of like to formulate my own opinions. And one thing I said Tuesday night on Sports Entertainment Tonight was the fact that I feel that they were going to put the title. I felt that they were going to put the title on Finn Balor and make him a two-time champion, make him the first ever two-time champion. But apparently they wanted to kind of finish off this feud, because if they would have put the title on Finn Balor, then it wouldn't be the end of the Finn Balor Samoa Joe feud. It would then continue on, and then what would be the purpose and the point of calling that match the end when nothing was finished? It was still a great match. I kind of figured with the usage of the steel cage that they would have to have a finish from the ropes, not necessarily the top rope per se, but it would have to be from the ropes. And I was leaning which way, at one point I thought they're going to have Finn Balor do the coup de grace off of the cage, but then when I saw Samoa Joe grabbing Finn Balor, who was dangling over the top of the cage, and transitioned that into the muscle buster off the top rope. I kind of figured, you know what, that's it, that's the finish, and it was exactly that. And they did have medical staff looking at Finn Balor, and like I said, I haven't had the chance to check any dirt sheets today if Finn Balor got legit injured or not when it comes to that, but it was still overall a great match. So makes me wonder now, are the rumors true? Will Finn Balor be bumped up to the main roster and made part of the Balor Club, or as John Cena put it on Monday Night Raw, Bullet Club? You know, you never know. You never know. And I hope that next Tuesday on Sports Entertainment Tonight we get to talk a little bit more about that, and also possibly weigh in on who we think possibly the next number one contender could be with Nick Fuquay and Mark Strahan. And of course, it will be streamed live Tuesday night, 7 p.m. So don't forget to tune in for that one, guys. Overall score on NXT Takeover The End, I'm going to give it a solid 4 out of 5, despite Tom Phillips and Corey Graves' commentary. It was still overall a good show. I'm going to give best match of the night to the steel cage match between Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. It was, again, for what it was, it served its purpose with, and I know Rickhead's not going to like this, but I'm going to give Asuka and Nia Jax a very, very, very minuscule, very close second, because of my personal preference is the fact that I like Asuka very much. I really don't have a worse match or a worse segment for NXT Takeover The End, because overall it was a great show. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at that. And also, just want to make notice that I did see the segment with Bobby Roode walking into William Regal's office in between NXT Takeover The End. So that makes me wonder, are they going to push Bobby Roode towards the NXT Championship with Samoa Joe? Because I don't think they ever feuded in TNA. I might be wrong when I say that, but it's a possibility that, you know, even though they worked in the same company, I don't think they ever feuded. But I would have to go back and check. But anyway, guys and gals, my question for you guys, again, I'm bringing back the comment questions. My question to you guys is, do you believe the rumors are true that Finn Balor will be bumped up to the main roster? Leave your comments in the comment section below, and on next week's NXT review, and trust me, there will be a review next week, I promise. I'm getting it back together, guys and gals. On next week's review, I will read your answers on next week's review. So again, the question is, do you believe the rumors are true that Finn Balor will be bumped up to the main roster? Again, put your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. WGS-TV is on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You guys can ask me questions. Links will be provided in the description box below. Don't forget to check me out on Sports Entertainment Tonight every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central time, live stream right here on WGS-TV. It is a live call-in show as well as a live chat show. So be sure you tune in every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central time, right here for that, with me, Nick Fuquay, and Mark Strahan. We'll discuss more about NXT Takeover The End and get their opinions on that as well. And also, don't forget, I'll have a couple of videos in the annotations at the end of this video for you guys to check out as well. So with that being said, I am your friendly neighborhood wrestling gamer, Double People and Boudreaux, and I will see you at the next Warp Zone. Bye, guys! She don't leave much to the imagination, does she?
Get off of me!